Hi, and welcome to this Thursday. And how are you guys doing? My name is Ivan, and I'll be the host for this Thursday here from Cloudify.Asia. And today we have two invited speakers. We have Clement, our coach and advisor for Cloudify.Asia, and also a good friend, Joanne from Experian. So before we start, I'll just do a little bit of an introduction for myself. I'm actually a technical trainer and also the skills empowerment consultant for Cloudify.Asia. So what I do is we provide training. We do skills empowerment to our customers on their journey to the cloud. And I've been doing training for the past 16 years counting right now. Suddenly feel so old. All right, so we have here Clement. Clement is actually our coach and advisor for Cloudify.Asia. So Clement, you want to introduce a little bit about yourself?
Yeah,
and what
sure.
do you do here?
Yeah, thanks, Ivan. Yeah, hi, my name is Clement. Welcome to all the participants. Very briefly about myself. Actually, I'm an accountant by training, but the last full-time job I hold actually is heading an IT and network. So actually have gone through a wide range of exposure in various organizations. In Cloudify.Asia, basically I'm a coach and advisor, imparting my knowledge to the young team member, help them to grow in person, other than in their job. So that's very briefly about me, Ivan. Thank you.
Thanks, Clement. Thank you. And then we have Joanne. Joanne. Okay. Joanne, I know Joanne not from work. And every time when I see Joanne, I can just still remember, Ivan, where are you, Ivan? So probably Joanne, you wanna introduce yourself a little bit?
Thanks, Ivan, my old friend. So why I always say, where are you, Ivan, is because he's my dive master. He taught me how to dive. So each time I hit the water, I'll be like, Ivan, where are you? Yeah. So I've been in HR for a long time. 26 years to be exact. So I was an innocent fresh graduate entering the workforce in 1996, and today a not so innocent HR professional who has seen a lot and done a lot. However, all this will not be possible if not for the development opportunities from the great people that I work with, and also for the great people that I work for. And hence today here I am as a HR specialist generalist. Yeah, so I hope that what I share with you all today will help and inspire you to be mad. And what I mean by mad is make a difference. I'm still learning and will still continue to learn because learning is a journey and not a destination. In my free time, I play a lot of tennis. I ride my Harley and travel the world to dive and ski and stuff like that. So if you play tennis or ride a big bike, just give me a holler, okay? So happy to be here today and let's enjoy the session.
Thank you, Joanne. All right. Before we start here, I believe that all of you guys are here, and I hope that you guys actually have received your Grab voucher. Actually, have they received a Grab voucher? Can anyone just let me know? Have you guys received your Grab voucher? Yeah, just give me a thumbs up or clap your hand or something like that. All right. So the Grab voucher is actually sponsored by Cloudify.Asia, specifically from my business unit, Skillability. And of course, you can use the Grab voucher to get things from Grab.
Okay. Grab from Grab.
Yeah, Grab from Grab. Yeah. So what happened is that what we have in Skillability is that we provide training as well. We actually have training workshops. Okay, and this is actually to help our partners and also whoever who wants to actually upskill their knowledge. Okay, towards the cloud. Right, in the journey towards the cloud. All right, so there's a promo over here which is going on. So if you actually send two of your staffs or two of your colleagues for any of our upcoming public schedule, here later we'll share with you the public schedule. You're on the run to actually get a MacBook. I wish I have that.
Wow.
Okay, so I pun tarak lah, ayo. How come I don't have Okay, you get a chance to win a MacBook, all right, a M2 latest version, worth 5 over 1,000 ringgit. Walao, how come I don't have a Clement? Can I request for one?
Depending how big
want.
schedule that we sign up.
Ayo, now I'm putting pressure already. Okay. So remember, if you want to have a chance to actually get hold of that M2 MacBook Air, all right. So send 2 of your staffs for any of our public schedule until October. Okay, the closing date is actually October 31st. Okay, so get the chance to actually get the MacBook, all right, the latest version. Okay. So a little bit of housekeeping, just a little bit more just before you start. A little bit of housekeeping is that appreciate that all of you guys actually put your mic on mute throughout the entire session. But feel free to ask questions. Then you can, if you want to ask questions, then you can unmute your mic, or you can actually put it onto the chat area, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. I'm sure that there'll be some questions that will be bobbing in your mind that you want to clarify or you want to ask our panelists over here. All right, so feel free to ask those questions, and after you've asked, you can put it in the chat box, or you can actually unmute your mic, and remember to mute your mic again after you ask the question. Yeah, all right. Okay, so give me a thumbs up if you actually got that clear. Give me a thumbs up. Response. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so are you guys ready? Okay, so we'll start off with the first topic for today. Yeah, we'll start off with the first topic for today. So we're going to talk about 4 main things today. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the growth mindset. Okay, the growth mindset, and the thing that comes into my head is that why is training important? So I think Joanne has something to talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Joanne, the floor is yours.
Before I start, I just think I saw my ex-boss in this forum as well. Dr. Nora Shikin was one of the people that coached and mentored me during my early careers, and she really did play a very big part in my development. So I just want to give a shout out to her. Yeah. So I told Ivan that I actually want to share a story. So this story is about my best friend since kindergarten. Her name is Siti Jalila, but I call her Jalil, and she is currently in charge of the parole department, and she is with the Ministry of Home Affairs. So hang on, yeah. So you can see her picture, right? And this is actually the picture of the patchwork on the wall that is at the entrance of her office. Okay, and this patchwork was actually the brainchild of my friend because she wanted the art to represent the purpose of her department. So as the head of parole, the message she wanted to send across to everybody is one that hope for, she wanted to have she wanted the parolees to feel that there is hope. Okay, so she said the prisoners who are on parole are often seen by the society as discards. She has seen a lot. She even interviewed families, and all of them felt that they do not want their family members because they were prisoners, right? So to her, she felt very sad because she felt that a lot of people saw them as discards. Just like each and every piece of the cloth that formed the patchwork, she is trying to give the message that by giving them guidance, by giving them direction, by bringing them together, they can actually have hope that there is second chance and life after prison. And because of that, she called this masterpiece Membenang Harapan, or in English, Threading Hope. So you must be wondering, why do I want to bring this up as a topic? Because to me, it is actually linked to growth mindset. So her initiative have not only created jobs for these parolees, but they also are given the right training, the right support, and the right ecosystem for them to be successful. So this is not just lip service, because one of her strongest supporters is actually Matsushita, which is a Japanese organization, where for the past few years, they have taken these parolees as their employees because they share the same purpose as Jalila. And today they have over 500 parolees as employees, and some even have been promoted because of their great performance. So how I link it to growth mindset? An organization with a growth mindset culture will believe that people, including myself, including yourself, can improve their talents, their abilities, their intelligence, provided there is the right effort in place. And organizations that adopt the growth mindset are learning organizations, and therefore they thrive because they believe in opportunities, they believe in innovation, nurturing their people, and making them successful and more successful than the organization with fixed mindset. So all of us remember COVID, right? So COVID-19 was a great reminder that we cannot be complacent. We now live in an era where there will be when normal will never ever be the same again. So business landscape is now ever more challenging than before, and therefore it will continue to evolve. So growth mindset organizations will learn and master new things. Growth mindset organizations will be lifelong learners, and because of that, they will be ahead of the game, and if done correctly. Growth mindset organizations will promote an environment where their people are willing to unlearn old and stale ways, learn new things, learn new skills, and apply them at work to help the organization grow. If your organization encourage you to learn a new skill during COVID, perhaps you can just put the word "me" in the chat box to say that your organization actually trained you even during COVID. So could you just put something on the chat box? So what I want to say is, in order for you to grow your people, the organization needs to have a growth mindset, to believe that people can be developed to grow your business alongside with you. So if you have anything else to share on that, Clement.
Yeah, Joanne, that is great. I think you hit the spot. I totally agree with you, because talking about growth mindset, I believe the company need to embody the growth mindset into the whole organization, because we always say human capital is an asset. So how do we grow our asset? Obviously, that require a mindset whereby it embody into the culture, the conduct of the whole entire organization. So when we say grow, not only business number grow, we also need to grow our human capital, so that the entire organization be able to grow in a uniform manner. Because if we grow business without equipping our talent, our human capital, then there's always a lagging effect. There's always a gap. So I totally agree with you. The growth mindset is important for a company to actually to adopt and embody it. Yes, that's my thought.
So in a way, I can concur, or I can agree that everyone here agrees that having the growth mindset, having training is actually very important, right? So here's my question then I have in mind is that why are so many companies, right, whenever there's actually a downturn in economy, or probably there's a company is idle, not doing well, the first thing they do is to cut training. This is the first thing. Okay, cut training, don't want training. Okay, this one you can save money. All right. So what's your say, Clement? What's your say for this?
That approach, I believe, by and large, a lot of organizations see training as a form of expenditure. I send my staff for training. I pay for my staff for training. That is a form of expenditure. In a year, typically, we have a budget for training. Probably to move away from that, we need to change our mindset slightly. Instead of looking at training as a form of expenditure, we need to look at training as a form of investment. Because if we look at training as a form of expenditure, it's natural, because in the challenging time, in a downturn, we always look at ways how to contain, how to save costs. That's where we always look at area whereby we feel, okay, it's not so important. But without realizing it actually is important, because when we're going through a downturn, we need to reskill our manpower, our staff, to face the challenge. That's why I say to change the mindset from expenditure to an investment. Because when investment, we look at it, how best I can invest and grow the value. So that will be a different mindset altogether. Yeah. So to answer to your question, Ivan, is by and large, as I say, companies still see training as the form of expenditure. Probably one of the things is the result from training, it might not be immediately tangible. So that is also another aspect where company probably feel more reluctant because I don't see immediate result. Yeah.
So is there a way to make it tangible in that sense? Do you think that is there a way to actually make it tangible so that I can actually keep track of this? Joanne.
Okay.
What do you think?
I mean, I agree with the reason why some organizations considers training as an expenditure. That is because they may not have had the right training. So when you do not train, if you do not enroll your employees in the right training, therefore you will not see the application of what they have learned at work, which will then translate into process improvement, productivity improvement, efficiency, accuracy, and so forth. So for example, where I work at Experian, one of the things that was very, very important was robotics and process automation. So, moving forward, as the next topic we'll talk about buy, build, borrow, and bot, right? One of the things that will be an employee at any organization would be the bot. So in order for us to equip our employees to be able to create the bots, this is where we enroll them in the training, where they were, for example, Automation Anywhere. They went through the program, and thereafter they were given a KPI to produce X amount of bots per financial year. So that way, when the organization sends the employee for such a training that is required by the business, and later on is being applied at work, which resulted in improvement of the organization through KPI management or performance management. Thereafter, such companies will then see the value of training, and then they will see that training is an investment and not an expenditure.
But then there's this thing that many companies will then think about, hey, why not I just get my seniors or those experienced guy on the job training, OJT, okay, what? Then I don't have to spend so much on training. So I mean, typically, if let's say the seniors have the experience, the seniors have the skills, it is also part of the 70-20-10 learning that I'm going to talk about. I mean, we are going to talk about later as well, because learning through people is another form of learning. But if let's say there isn't any employees within your population that has that skill, that is where you need to invest in your people to develop those skills. So coming down to the yes, Clement, you have something to say?
Chip in a little bit more on that. Following what Joanne commented, for the training, yes, you're right. On probably some company will just send a senior and then learn and then come back and then teach the others. But we shouldn't forget to grow the company talent and have a growth mindset. We should see training actually not a specific department or function responsibility. We should see this as a company as a whole, to have that mindset, to have that culture, to put in program to actually prepare our staff for training. So actually it's not a single department or single staff effort, but rather a company effort, fully aware where we want to go, what we want to train, where we want to skill them up. So actually it takes a much more comprehensive approach. That's what the chip in.
It kind of gives me that I mean, I see the picture as in, sometimes you see people read in the newspaper or probably in the news is that, hey, how come I send my kid to school, my kid don't learn anything? Then they push all the responsibility to the teacher, right? But actually the whole learning experience is not just in school. It's just stop when you leave the class. You treat the whole thing, even at home, because you spend more time at home as well, right? So I think it's everyone's responsibility, right? And sometimes when I think about, and the company actually sends a guy, say, hey, okay, I send this guy for training, all right, and then after that you come back, expert already, okay, you come and teach and do knowledge transfer to your peers. I mean, does that actually really work? I don't know. Probably we can talk about that in a little while. Now, going on to this, the next topic we'll talk about is the 70-20-10 formula, right? 70-20-10 formula. Joanne, can you explain a little bit about this 70-20-10 formula?
I must admit, I'm a dummy in the kitchen. So sometimes, when I am free, I like to learn cooking, but I don't cook. So what happens is, I'm trying to link this to 70-20-10, yeah? So when I am free, I want to see how actually people cook nasi biryani, for example. Then I go to YouTube. Then I go to my kitchen and I'm like, oh, where do I begin, right? Then I know of a friend who is good at cooking nasi biryani. So I go to her place and just look at her and say, oh, this is how you cook nasi biryani. But at least I help her cut onion, I help her cut lemongrass and so forth. And therefore, I possess a little bit of skill to make nasi biryani now. However, after learning from my friend, I now go back to my own kitchen, and now I have to do it myself. So trial number 1, trial number 2, trial number 3, and I believe after trial number 4 and 5, my nasi biryani is perfect. So this is how I want to link back to the 70-20-10 formula. A lot of organizations, when you send your employees for training, you only cater for their 10% of learning. And therefore, when they do not see the application of the what they have learned, this is where it frustrates the line manager, it frustrates the leader, it frustrates the HR person, right? So that is the reason why in any organization, you need to have the 70-20-10 learning pedagogy. So what do I mean by 10? The 10% is instructor-led training, something like what we are doing now. It could be e-learning, it could be through books, it could be through YouTube, and even through Ivan, who teaches on behalf of Cloudify, right? And this only, when you go for training, which is formal, it is something like, we liken it to tell me and I forget, right? Then once you have already gone for a classroom training, for example, and then you go back to your workplace and you go and approach somebody who already has experience in what you have just learned. For example, Microsoft Excel, right? There are so many formulas in Microsoft Excel, and you go for your 10% classroom training with a Microsoft Excel trainer. And you come back to the office and you say, oh, how do I do a VLOOKUP? Maybe it's like that because the trainer has taught me like that. But you have a friend who is very good at VLOOKUP, and you go to your friend and say, can you just show me one more time? And then she will coach and mentor you on how to do VLOOKUP. And that is where the 20% comes from, which is show me and I remember. And the last thing is 70%, which is learning from doing. So on the job training, projects, gigs, short-term assignments, step up, or even to use it on your day-to-day work, which is why I say on the job, right? And that is where what you have learned, after 21 days, you keep repeating and repeating the same action, it will become muscle memory. So even if you close your eyes, you already know how to do a VLOOKUP. And if you do not apply it at work, what you have learned from the 10% classroom training will evaporate in a very quick moment. In the next 1, 2, 3 days, if you do not practice it, you do not learn from others, it will disappear. And when it disappears, you cannot use it, it is a waste. And therefore, every time you send somebody for training, make sure that that is a training that this person needs in their job, so that when they come back after the 10% training, they are able to apply it. And also, if they can't, they have somebody who can coach, mentor, and shadow so that they can learn the skill. So make sure when you have a training, all must go through this 10-20-70 formula.
All right, good. Now, Clement,
Yep.
so prior to this, you were in the top management for many companies. So how often do you see that this 70-20-10 formula is actually being implemented in based on experience?
Based on experience, I would say overall actually is quite low. Not many people probably practice it. I'm not too sure whether they're aware of this formula. But having said that, what Joanne shared with us actually is very, very useful. I can't agree more. In fact, that also bring me to the idea of even myself, I've gone through many training. What Joanne shared actually is very true. After you come back from training, if you don't apply it, basically it just, all your material is just put aside, compiling dust, or what you learned, also it's gone down to the drain. Unless you take a conscious effort to actually apply some, not 100%, if you can apply, let's say 30-40% of what you learn from the outside, that is very, 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 very good, very commendable. So having said that, so learning actually two parts. When we go for external training, the 10% actually is an input, learning. It's an input learning. Once we have our input learning, is also equally, if not more important, is the output learning. Output learning, that's where we actually applies it, put into practice, or we actually share with others, because by sharing it with others is also a form of learning, right? So the input and output is very important, and I'll encourage those company who send your staff for training from now on, make sure that there is such form of arrangement, such a program, so that so that the investment will not gone to waste. So to come back to your question earlier on, Ivan, as I say, generally it's not high. It's not high, the type of so-called adoption of this formula. Hopefully, with today's sharing, there'll be more awareness. People can able to adopt more of this. Yeah.
So my question would be next is that why is this not being thought of? Why is it not high? Is there some blockage somewhere around in the picture that this cannot be implemented? What's the reason behind? Because at the end of the day, is that when we send people for training, for example, right? Like when people come for my classes, sometimes I do see that, okay, maybe this guy doesn't have some prerequisites and stuff like that. And then when he actually has learned it, it seems like the whole process of learning stopped when they leave the class. Okay, and then when I'm sure that every company who send people for training, they want to have some form of ROI. Hey, I've sent myself for training, invested already. Hey, how come they still don't perform? That's the question mark. So what is actually stopping the other 20% and the 70%? Joanne, maybe you have something or
quickly. I think
okay.
I think that brings us back to the first topic. Is the mindset, is the growth mindset. Whether the company have that growth mindset. Right? Because if we don't have that growth mindset, then we will not see training or upscaling or equipping our staff as a company effort rather than an individual department effort. So that's my take. Joanne?
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I think in this sense, right, companies need, besides growth mindset, when you have the growth mindset, one of the very important things to have in place is the ecosystem, right? Whether or not the design of training is efficient, whether you are doing the right training for the right people and stuff like that. For example, most organizations, the HR and the leaders are disconnected. And HR's role is to facilitate something called the training needs analysis. It's not called the training nice to have analysis. So that's why we want to focus on the
numbers must look good.
We need to focus on the word needs, right? What is really needed for the organization? What skills are needed for the organizations now and into the future? And once you have identified that is when the learning and development or organizational development manager will then craft a learning ecosystem that comprises of the 10, 20, 70, so that there is application. And when there is application, definitely you will see the right results for your organization. So the ecosystem growth mindset is very important.
So just now we've talked about the growth mindset. Then right now we need to have the environment, basically. We need to have the situation, the environment for it to be applied, basically.
Correct. So HR is not just to apply HRDF, yeah. No. HR role is also to see what are some of the skills in the market for our products and stuff like that. And then from there, work with the leaders to come up with a learning needs analysis, or you can call it development need analysis. But what is the needs? So once you have that, that is where your ecosystem will flourish and achieve whatever skill set that is required for your organization.
Just a question to all the participants. Any trainers in the house right now? Any trainers here? Any trainers here, regardless if they are a technical trainer or soft skills trainer, whatever trainer you are, any trainers around or instructors around? Can I have a show of hands? Yes, no trainers here. Okay, so I'm sure that you heard about training TNA lah. Yeah, trainees and analysis. And in my experience is that when I actually attended many years back in the HRDF, that time was still called HRDF TTT lah, train the trainer session. All right, and one of the things that we have to actually go through is to learn how to do TNA. You know, after going through that training, right, TNA, right, I've actually never applied how to do TNA in my training because I don't need to do it. So sometimes it's like, you know, sometimes when participants come for class and sometimes we kind of understand what the participants needs while in the class, only to find out that there's certain parts in the training they actually don't need it because TNA was not actually being done, especially when you do technical training, right? A lot of them, they just come for a class for certification training. And sometimes the training, the modules, there are certain modules they don't really need that. All right, but it's actually still being taught and still being delivered in a class just to fulfill the requirements. So yeah, I think TNA is actually very important to really understand what the customer needs before training is actually being attended by the participants. Right. Okay. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is actually, and any of you actually have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions that you have in mind. We can ask our panelists, speakers over here. You can type it in the chat box, or you can actually unmute your mic and ask a question. All right. So the next question, the next topic we're going to talk about is balancing buy, build, borrow, and bot. So how to balance between buy, build, borrow, and bot. So if I were to read this correctly, it's like balancing between buy means we import talents lah, right? We import talents. Then build is that we send them for training, we grow lah, right? Borrow, we contract them on a short-term basis, okay? And bot means in terms of automation work, right? If I got this correct, okay. So buy, build, borrow, and bot. So at this current juncture, okay, how do we really balance this out, right? How do we always hear about talents are actually tak cukup lah, not enough lah, right? And then if you want to get the correct talent, very expensive lah, okay? And then after that, we want to build them, we want to teach them, we want to train them. It takes time lah. How do we balance this? Joanne, how do you balance this thing since you're in the HR?
Just like people say work-life balance, right? You can never balance on 50-50, no such thing. But what we say is integration. So it's more of an integration of buy, build, borrow, and bot. So I don't know about all of you in this call, right? Hiring today is so challenging compared to when it was before, right? Because I was in a restaurant recently, and this was a restaurant that I frequent. It's a Japanese restaurant that I frequent, and they told me at the entrance, Miss, you have to wait 45 minutes for your food because we don't have enough manpower. Then all of a sudden, I can see this robot carrying the food, right? And then it was sort of like an entertainment for the kids around lah. And therefore, they have adapted bots. And at the same time, the waiter who took my order suddenly was at the counter cutting and slicing the sashimi. So, you know, they have built certain skills in him so that he can also act as a sous chef. Right? So this is also this is built because they have buy issues. So similar to us, right? So today our talent management strategies no longer restricts us, oh, you need talent, we buy. You need talent, we buy. So one of the things that we need to focus on is also build. And also you can borrow if you need. And also if you have mundane, boring, routine work, you can actually have the bot to do all those things. So buying talent is ideal if, let's say, for example, you don't have that skill set and you need it now, then you buy. Or you have a sudden organic growth in the requirement for human capital, then you buy, right? But at the back of our minds, always remember to first try to build your talents, because currently, don't forget that, these people, your current talents, are the ones who are very familiar with the company, very familiar with the products, very familiar with the culture. So retention, as I was telling my business leaders this year, because of the very challenging buying landscape, I told them, look, let's look at retention. Retention in all aspects of retention, which includes building the talent. So organizations, depending on your industry, depending on your needs, you need to relook into whether you want to buy, build, borrow, or let some of the responsibilities go to the board. So I think this is something that could help with the current talent crunch in the market today.
Sure. So you said that, so which means that you are more towards building the talent, but wouldn't building actually take too long of a time? We need to move. It's very competitive nowadays in the market. I need to move faster. Hey, I want to build that guy. It take 1 year, 2 years, then I'll be like down the drain already. I'll lose out the market. Then how?
That's why I say the ecosystem is important. You don't react. You have to be proactive. Don't wait until it happens. Oh, we need this skill, right? So if that is the situation, then you'll have to buy because you need it now, right? But as leaders, you know your product, you know what is the future and the vision for your organization. And therefore, you work with your HR to say, look, we need to build these skills because these are the skills we require for the future of the organization. Then you identify who from your talent can take up these kinds of skill set to take up this kind of responsibility. So the entire talent growth ecosystem needs to be in place in order for us to build the talent proactively and not reactively.
Okay. But okay, then this question then comes to mind, Clement. If let's say, for example, if I'm a startup company, all right, of course, if I can, I do things myself, all right, but I only have 2 sets of hands, one pair of hands. Okay, so and if I can, I try to build, but as being a startup company, I need to move things fast. Okay, but I don't have the resources. Then how? I don't have the resources to buy. Then what can I do?
Very valid concern.
And I have only 1 pair of hands, and I have this limited amount of time constraint.
Yeah.
And I need to move, and I need the skills. Then how what am I supposed to do now?
I believe we can approach it from an angle. Just now, Joanne also share. Whether you're a startup or established company, the leader need to understand the entire business case of the company, business model, and they also need to understand at which phase. And if you want to expand, what area of expansion you're looking into, because all this will determine whether you should buy or you should build or you should borrow or you should bought, right? For buy, for those scenarios which you have mentioned, Ivan, if there is a new growth area whereby internally you do not have the skill set, right? But that is an area whereby the company want to expand into a new area. Then probably you have a stronger case of buy, because that will make more commercial sense to acquire a talent, right? Come with the necessary knowledge, rather than you build, because build it take time. It's not to say cannot, it take time, right? So you pointed out a very valid point. If I build, probably I lose out in competitive. But again, even after you buy, I still want to emphasize, we still, after you bought, we still need to build, because by building our talent, that to make sure we can sustain on a longer term, right? Building the talent actually will ensure us able to sustain on a longer term, because you can buy, but we also need to consider the sustainability of the business and of our capital, or our human capital. Yeah.
All right. So then the build is when you either send them for external training or they learn themselves and so on.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where I want to chip in a little bit, is that goes back to the 10%, right, Joe? Goes back to the 10% that acquiring of knowledge is that that will be the starter point, which is just want to retrace that back a little bit now. Is that 10% is actually very crucial, as in that even though it's just 10%, but it's important that we instill the correct knowledge in them, the foundational part in them, so that they get the correct information for them to move towards on how to actually expand that knowledge. If they will be imparted with the wrong knowledge, then habis lah. Koyak that one. So even though it's 10%, but that 10% is very crucial, right? To impart the correct knowledge so that they can actually build from there, building the correct foundation. All right, yeah. Okay, got that. Okay.
And that's why for the 10%, right, the right trainer is so important. And do not, if you interview your candidates to hire, you make sure you interview your trainer. In which you entrust.
But the other guy give me cheaper, you know. The guy give me cheaper, you know. You go for the same training, what? The guy cheaper, then how?
Then you have to make sure that why you want to send for training, right? You want to have result. So sometimes cheap, but the trainer is good, then you will have a bargain, right? Good deal.
Bonus for you, bonus.
But if let's say you have two trainers, one is more expensive than the other, but based on your interview and your interactions with the trainer, you know that this other trainer who is more expensive can deliver and inspire your participants to actually take action towards, achieving application at work. So sometimes, like they say, cheap thing no good, good thing no cheap, right? But then again, you just need to make sure that consciously you have selected the right trainer for your people, because this is an investment. They're going to spend time with this trainer. They're going to learn from this trainer. So do it right the first time.
Yep, correct. The keyword is, if we see it as an investment, then whether it's cheap or expensive is not the key consideration. When you talk about investing, you want to see what is the return you can get from the investment. That will be more crucial, right? So you can pay cheap, but if you don't get the return, the desired return, then it's still money down the drain. If you pay expensive and you get good return, well, you make it. So we always see it as an investment.
Probably next time we can have another Thursday talking about how to choose your trainers.
Like Ivan, is it?
Hey, don't like that, don't like that. Low profile, humble a bit, okay? Okay. So we go down to our last topic for today will be growing your talents. Okay, how to grow our talents. So when you talk about how to grow our talents, does it mean that we really need to? I mean, the same goes back to the question just now. Okay, so the people send the company send them for training. All right, and then most of the time the training stops there. Okay, so how do you really actually have a plan to grow your talents? What is the strategy that you're going to put in place? Is there actually a written strategy, A, B, C, D, F, G, on how to actually do this? Joe?
It's a huge process. You need another Thursday for this topic.
Yes, another topic to talk.
Yeah, growing your talents is just not about building, right? It's not just about training them, but also ensuring that the rewards you pay right, you reward right, you develop right. So the entire life cycle of an employee is actually something that HR needs to work with the leaders again and partner the business in order for you to grow your talents, starting from the day they step in until they continuously grow with the organization. Right? So a lot of people, when your team member resigns, oh my God, I have to hire again and train again, right? So that's why one of the things that I told my leaders, my stakeholders is, look, rather than we talk about people resigning, let's talk about how we can continuously retain them. Because I'm sure you all must have heard of the Great Resignation, right? So in a survey done in Malaysia, 36% of the survey respondents said that in 2021 they changed jobs. That is quite high, right? And 51% of them said that they value career growth opportunities when they move. So that is the reason why talent development becomes something so integral, where every leader needs to make sure that they have in place a career pathway for each and every individual within their team. We are aware that there are some employees who say, no, I'm happy where I am. It's okay. We also need this type of people. But then again, there are also those go-getters. So you need to make sure the ecosystem is there to grow them. So like in my organization, it's not just about classroom training. One of the very big thing that we are talking about within the organization is what we call gigs. So gigs are like short burst projects, and it is aimed at allowing them to learn a new skill. So this is something that is very appreciated, especially among the technology, the tech workers, right? Because they want to learn new software, they want to learn new programming languages and so forth. By participating in these gigs, which are created to develop them, they actually learn a new skill through the project, and they feel that the next time there is a role that requires this skill set, I'm ready, you know. So knowing tech employees, to them, sometimes money is not the most important thing, but learning new things are. So therefore, you know, this is just an example. So in order to grow your talent, you need to make sure you hire the right individuals. When they perform and when they contribute, you have the right reward systems in place. So all these are actually part of the talent management and also talent retention pipelines. Yeah, so grow your talents in order for you to not face any headache, especially in this very, very tight talent landscape right now.
So when you grow your talents in this case, so you like you mentioned, is that you have this ecosystem, right?
Yes.
So is this ecosystem built or just done within the company, or do you actually work with like external parties like training providers, you know, to be involved in this building of this ecosystem?
So it is because different organization, different industry, they will have their different landscapes. So in general, that is the reason why HR is a very, very, very important role in the organization, because we truly partner our business leaders in order for us to come up with this ecosystem. We don't in Malaysian term, right? We don't shock sendiri, because when you shock sendiri, or you alone are enjoying these beautifully crafted things, but if the business doesn't see the outcome, the purpose, the beauty of what has been proposed, then you know it's just going to go to waste. So it is very important that HR plays a very important role to work with the leaders to create an ecosystem. For example, one of the business that I represent is the Global Finance Services, and we have 190 employees in Malaysia. So we saw quite a high attrition. So when we did exit interviews, they always talk about career growth, right? So what we did was we created the ecosystem. We train everyone in the skill set that they are required. We have job shadowing so that, you know, when they want to learn a new skill in another finance pillar, they are already available to do that on top of their daily BAUs, because they want to develop, right? And once there is opportunities in another role, we actually use them as our first choice rather than you know, hiring from external. So in order for us to create this ecosystem, this is where we work with the line managers and the business leaders in order to make sure that they go for their job shadowing, they go for their knowledge transfer, they go for their Empower certification. Everybody is yellow belt, Six Sigma yellow belt certified, so that they can do projects. So everybody has got a taste of all the other pillars within global finance. And therefore, when somebody resigns from general ledger, for example, somebody from AP is ready to take up that role because I have done job shadowing with this person. So because of that, we have managed to reduce the attrition rate from 20% to 11%, and the internal career movement increased from 15% to 31%. So that means last year, 31% of the internal promotions and lateral moves were filled internally and not by. So we did a lot of build in order for us to sustain a healthy talent landscape for our people. So again, different business will have different strategies. So work with the business and work with your HR.
Okay. So which means that when you say the job shadowing is that someone were to also mentor in the case lah. So like in Cloudify.Asia, we also provide mentoring services, coaching services, right? So what we do is that we will engage, even though they have once they're actually done with the courses and classes, is that we are engaged with our customers. And to keep track with them, or anything they want to clarify after the class while they're doing the job, so they have someone to refer to at least. So when you say that job shadowing thingy, right? So is there a structure that you actually come up with on how to actually, is it a point system or something like that?
Yeah.
How to evaluate basically?
So we utilize technology for that. So employees who are interested to do other roles, right, they actually apply online, and then the line managers from both parties will make time, ensure that their role is being taken care of by their team members, because it's like a swap game sometimes. So if let's say somebody in this department is interested in this department and vice versa, they swap, and therefore when they swap, they actually on the job training with the help of their coaches, and also their mentors within the team. So therefore, it is a real learning experience for them, and this keeps them excited, because after I've learned this, my next adventure is another team. So it is all managed in a platform where we call it as Elevate. So we have the Elevate learning there, we have the Elevate performance there, because we want our employees to feel elevated through all these structures that we have put in place. We also allow them to select their own coaches and mentors, and we have employees who have, senior leaders as their mentors, and they're so inspired and wanting to do more, and this actually creates a very good growth ecosystem for them. Again, it's the ecosystem.
So yeah. So which means that there's a lot of you said you're using technology, which means that particular system is built in-house lah.
Yes.
And the content is all done in-house lah.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's job shadowing, right? So for example, somebody wants to shadow with me. So this person will sit with me and I will go through everything that I do with this person. And if there's any assignments, I will then assign. So I'm acting as a person who's coaching and mentoring this person who has interest to become a HR business partner.
So now you train new HR people lah.
Yeah. When I train, I learn also, especially those young fellas, right? They are so good in digital, and I'm like 50 years old, and I'm like, what the hell is this digital thing, right? So we are coexisting and learning from each other. It's peer learning.
Yeah, I just want to touch a little bit on the younger generation of workforce, right? So what Joanne mentioned, actually all those are very, very applicable, right? Probably I just want to chip in a little bit more in terms of growing our talents, other than the skill set to do the job, I think it's also equally important that we also need to guide them or need to help them to grow as a person, right? So as a person, it's just more than doing your job day to day, right? It's more than that. So I believe to do that, at least at the workplace, we need to enable them to find fulfillment, right? For them to find purpose in the job. So that is on their personal aspect. Because I believe the younger generation workforce, the mindset, the thinking probably is slightly different compared to the older generation. So we need to aware of this and to incorporate this type of guidance, this type of whether workshop or activities within an organization, so that this younger workforce, they see is something which is relevant in today's world. Yeah, I believe that is also an area that all of us should pay some attention to. Yeah, that a little bit I chip in.
Great. So we are running out of time already. So if anyone have any questions, do feel free to ask our panelists over here. Feel free to actually put your questions in the chat area, or you can actually unmute your mic and ask a question. All right. And also remember to remember the promo is actually is running right now. Okay. So if you are interested with any of our trainings that we are offering in our public schedule, I'm just going to put that in the chat area. There we go. Thanks, Jen. All right. So have a look at our public schedule, whichever that interests you. We will still be putting in more offerings of training inside in our public schedule. So anytime when you actually send in 2 packs of participants for our training, you're in the run to actually win the MacBook M2 MacBook. All right, the brand new M2 MacBook worth 5,000 over ringgit. All right. So yeah, if there are any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, and I think that's the time that we have for today. You will also be provided with the let me see, feedback. All right, so do help us give us some feedback of what you think about today's discussion, and also appreciate if you could also tell us a little bit on what you want to actually what are the topics that you want to be discussed or you want to discuss on our next Thursday. Yeah, you can put it into the feedback form. All right. Okay, so I think that's the end of our discussion today. Thank you very much to Clement and also Joanne. Very nice meeting you guys. Hope you guys actually enjoyed this session. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, and I hope to see you guys again on the next Thursday. All right, thank you guys, and have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day all. Bye.
Bye-bye.